shot! What a round, what a fight this has been.
Fight of the night, fight of the year.
You have witnessed history here tonight.
Seriously, who's going to stop it?
Welcome to the big time. Welcome to Hammer Time, where we circle the globe for the very best in world kickboxing. Mark Castellini joining me again. What's got you excited, Hammer?
Well, what's really got me excited is, of course, one of our former glorious king fighters, Mark Hunt, former K1 champion. Big fight in the UFC. It's going to be huge.
We still claim him as one of our very own, a massive half hour ahead. Let's check out what is on today's show. And we're going to take a look at the legendary John Wayne Parr and chat cage Muay Thai. And the unbelievable series Warriors of the Hmong. All that and a whole lot more. An unbelievable documentary that gives us a great insight into our wonderful sport.
Yeah, Owen Rennie's done a great job with it, and he's toured around the country, followed the events, followed the fighters, and there's some great insights on that series. OK, looking ahead at what is ahead, and Steve McKinnon, a massive return. Glory number 9. $200,000 on the line, a trip to New York as well. Well, he gets to go to New York, he gets to fight on the biggest kickboxing event in the world at the moment, and yeah, Steve McKinnon, you know, he's been a little bit unfortunate, but he's always there for the fight, he's always there for the war, and, you know, such a favourite of mine as well.
This is edition number 9 of Glory. Let's go back to edition number 7. It was Steve McKinnon, Michael Dutt, and lessons learned.
Well, lessons learned is it's hard to beat someone in their backyard, you know, when they've got the judges and I suppose the promotion on side. But he's a champion in every way. He knows he's an astute professional. He'll be back for the fight. He'll deliver just as he did last time. And, you know, let's face it, a little bit unfortunate. You know, if it would have been in Australia, he would have got the win, I reckon. I've
got a little bit of a different spin on this, and Steve McKinnon's such an incredible athlete with vast array of skills. But brother Stu, who we saw in his comeback a couple of weeks ago here on Hammer Time, battle-wearied and hardened again. Now, as far as practice and training and sparring in the gym, that's not only a huge positive for Stu, it's a huge positive for Steve.
Of course, well, they go at it. They go at it together. And they've got Meadsy as well down there. You know, they've got a really strong stable. And even working out with the likes of Ben Edwards, you know, super heavyweight. You don't get a bigger hitter than Ben Edwards in Australia. So they've got such a wealth of talent around them, the Bulldog gym boys at the moment in the heavier weights. It's just going to, you know, push them all up to that next level where they need to be on the world stage.
You'd actually pay to go and watch sparring in the Bulldog gym. Let's talk about another heavyweight. His rise through the ranks has been phenomenal over the last decade. Very much he started at kickboxing. This weekend, UFC 160 and Junior Dos Santos. I speak of Mark Hunt.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, Mark Hunt, what an inspiration. You know, really, no one gave him a chance when he started kickboxing. He was discovered basically by a nightclub bouncer that saw him out on the street taking care of business. Someone had a crack at him and said, mate, you want to try your hand at this? And he did. And from being basically unfit, unschooled, he rose to the absolute top of kickboxing and being the K1 champion. And now he's duplicated that in the UFC. It doesn't get bigger than that. The accolades, the respect. Mark Hunt is such a humble man, you know, and I find it hard to think of anyone who deserves it more in the UFC than Mark Hunt.
Great line in UFC circles. When does a Mark Hunt fight stop? When Mark Hunt says it stops. Unbelievable power.
Unbelievable. You know, they say he's got sleeping pills in both his hands and he's disposed of so many opponents with those big bombing hands. A very unassuming fighter, but when you're on the end of one of those punches with those little gloves, oof, you might as well get hit by a car or a truck or a bus.
Hammer, we're both regular visitors to Thailand, but for very different reasons. You go over and train. Our look at Warriors of the Hmong. It's something that touches home very much to you.
Well, I think, as I said, the series has been put together so well. A lot of the viewers and, you know, a lot of people will only, at the shows, only see the glorious side of fighting. You know, there's two people in every fight. There's a winner and there's a loser. And they've both dedicated their lives, their bodies, their personal relationships, everything, you know, to entertain. And sometimes, you know what, they're fighting for a trophy that might be worth $30. You've got to think about it. Months of preparation for $30 prize. So they go out the back, they've put their heart and soul into that fight. They're out the back, they're banged up, they're bruised, they're bleeding, they're hurting, and somehow they can be forgotten. So this series really delivers a very well-rounded look at everything that goes into the fight game. It's really insightful and really, really interesting.
And on that note, let's take a look at a little snippet from Warriors of the Hmong.
He fights like he's fighting for his life every time he steps in the ring.
There's not once I've ever thrown the towel in.
Waiting in the hospital was a very long night. Something I never wish upon my worst enemy.
So I got a stab wound under my left arm.
I mean, I've dedicated my life to this. I'm not going to walk away from it now.
To beat somebody, you have to first beat yourself.
Losing a fight is probably the hardest thing you're going to go through.
There's no way I'm going to lose this fight.
Unfortunately, everyone has to come to a time when they realise they're not a spring chicken anymore. I'm just turned 36 yesterday. I've accomplished everything I've wanted to do times 10. I cannot believe how fortunate I've been in the sport and how many countries and how many people and everyone I've met. It's just been the greatest experience ever. But yeah, I'm getting injuries now. They're not healing, and it's just my body's telling me that enough's enough. So I've had 113 fights. My last fight will be 114. There might be a few tears after my fight, but I'll look back as this was the greatest chapter of my youth, and hopefully it's going to open up a lot of doors for me as I get older.
Travel with the stare down here. Wayne struck it right hand.
I don't want to be one of those guys that had 10 fights too many.
This is Wayne Parr. This is the superstar. Good catch and sweep from Wayne. Jumped him.
And that's the stuff that absolutely really impacts on the scorecards.
23rd of June is going to be the first time Muay Thai rules in a cage with MMA gloves on is going to be promoted. It came about from being a big fan of UFC. I really like watching the cage stuff, and I really want to experience the rush of what it's like to be locked in there.
With Parr getting ready for his last fight before retiring, he looks to best mate and student Flip Street to test out the 4-ounce gloves in a sparring match a month out from the fight.
MMA gloves are fun. Oh, Hip, you're a freak.
After the break, the man himself, John Wayne Parr.
Oh, JWP! There's a little bit of full Monty in here.
I told you it'd be something a little bit different. Yeah.
There's plenty of show, but thankfully plenty of go. In our next guest, the legendary John Wayne Parr, what were you thinking?
Mate, at the time it seemed like such a good idea, but yeah, you don't think of the repercussions in the future, and every time I see it, I cringe, my wife cringe, my kids cringe. Yeah, it's one of those topics where I'm now officially known as the wiggle guy.
10 months out of the sport, a retirement. Why come back?
I really missed the rush. I missed walking in front of the crowds. I missed the adrenaline of just feeling what it's like to knock somebody out.
Yep.
You cannot bottle that. And when I was retired, sitting in the crowd, watching other fighters experience that rush and running around the ring, yeah, I just missed it, and I wanted to come back. And I don't think I'm finished yet either. I finished on a 5-6 fight winning streak, and I don't believe my time is yet. So, so back again.
And how's the body holding up since you come back? Everything?
Very good. I had a couple of little injuries with the hand before I gave it away, but with that layoff, everything's healed up now. I'm punching just as hard as I was before, and yeah, everything's good. Okay,
you've now had 2 fights with this young man, Mozzie Abdullahi. This was fight number 1, but your comeback fight. Very similar hammer, wasn't it? And a success, we might add.
Well, it was almost a carbon copy of the first one, you know, even pretty much stopping the fight with pretty much the same punches. The first time Mozzie was a bit of a fan fighting John Wayne. I think this time he really came to fight, but repeat, or you know, revenge or repeat, and it was pretty much repeat.
Happy with your comeback fight?
Yeah, it was amazing. The first round, Mozzie was very much more aggressive. He came to win. He didn't show me any respect at the weigh-in. When we went face to face, when the referee brought us together, he was looking straight through me. So I knew it was going to be a hard one. And he had much more aggression. He was looking for the counters, and he was hitting hard. So after 10 months off, halfway through the first round, I completely forgot that there was a good chance I could have got knocked out if I didn't have my A game. And luckily for me, I picked it up in the second and caught him with a couple of nice punches. I sort of had him unsteady and against the ropes. I got him with a nice left hook, which rocked him, and his bottom hit the second bottom rope. And as he popped up, I caught him with a nice straight right, and then he went to sleep.
I suppose, you know, Mozzie was a last-minute replacement for Fadi Mirza.
Yes.
You know, I suppose in my eyes, probably not the best opponent for you to fight, seeing as you disposed of him so easily the first time around. So who do you look for to fight that is probably going to be inspiring for the fans? I mean, you've got fights coming up, but, you know, who is at the top of their game that you're looking to hunt for now?
I'd really like a rematch with Borkow. I think Borkow is the pinnacle. Yep. He's the face of kickboxing, Muay Thai. But we have a bit of a drama with the weight issue. He wants to fight at 70. I'm a 72.5 kilo fighter. Besides that, any Europeans? I believe that I've pretty much cleaned out Australia and New Zealand. Yep. I've done pretty much nearly all of Thailand. Not all of Thailand. There's a lot of good guys coming up at the moment. But I want to experience the European style so I can keep my profile on the other side of the planet.
John Wayne, let's talk about caged Muay Thai. Your invention up on the Gold Coast. We've got the different attire here. How much different?
Mate, it's a completely different rush. Not only is the cage a completely new element to fighting, but the gloves, we've gone from 10-ounce gloves to 4s. I've just reinvented I've got new 6s now because the first 2 shows, everyone was getting damaged when they come out of the cage. I noticed a lot of cuts and bruises. So I've made them 6s to make it a little bit more padding. And being such a big fan of the MMA and the UFC, it's hard being a fighter to see these guys fight every weekend, and then for me to fight in big gloves, I just feel like I don't feel as hard. I feel like I feel like I can be just as tough and just as much of a warrior as the UFC guys can be. And the only way to prove that is to fight in the same gloves and have the same fighting venue in the cage.
Well, looking at the gloves here, obviously the traditional glove there, you'll see the padding. It protects the knuckles, whereas these gloves here, and we've spoken about this in the past, your knuckles are exposed. So your knuckles are sticking out the end or the front part of your hand. So when you're striking, you actually have to turn your hand. So it's almost retraining your striking, isn't it, when you fight with these things?
It's a completely new avenue, because even training, I punch the gloves, I punch the pads with the big gloves on every day, and you never miss. You can almost close your eyes and hit the pad solid. But with these ones, every punch, you almost have to be laser guided to hit the pad exactly in the same spot every time. You feel like a beginner again once you put these on.
This is the Jordan Tai fight we're looking at, John Wayne Parr, and a different experience, but still the opportunity to show your skill set, but it's a different skill set inside a cage.
It can, yeah, it's so much more scary with the little gloves on. It hurts so much more. So you had to work on your footwork because you didn't want to stand in the pocket to get hit. You can't just cover up, take a few, then give some back. Yeah. And then, even though I won the fight, I couldn't touch the top of my head for 5 days. So the gloves definitely get your attention.
Hammer, as a trainer, how different would you be looking at training an athlete from one to the other?
Yeah, it's totally different, Andy. We've played around with those gloves, and it's the striking, really. Yep. And the body shots just hurt a lot more, even those rips. But even when you're hooking, if you hook traditionally, you know, you sort of can lead out with your knuckles, you know, and the gloves do allow for that. But with these smaller mitts, you have to actually turn your hand over. So it looks like it's bad form when you watch it on telly, but it's actually the way that the guys have to punch to protect their hands, and the guard's a lot different too, as JW said.
Well, no doubt John Wayne Parr is the main event and the headline act, but the next generation is certainly coming through in regards to cage Muay Thai. Let's take a look at one of the undercard battles featuring the next generation and featuring the Tomahawk, Mikey Thompson.
We've seen Michael Thompson mature as a young man and as an elite athlete. Tonight it goes to a whole new level.
I suppose from the early days, I've always had big raps on the Tomahawk, but tonight he's coming into this fight a huge underdog in a lot of people's minds. Ponson, a Thai legend.
Two-time Lumpini champion.
Oh, beautiful uppercut. Have a look at that, Andy Raymond, into the knee transition.
Transition was perfect. There's the right uppercut again. And 22-year-old Michael Thompson, he's lifted his game. What an explosion from the Brisbane boy.
Oh, again with that uppercut into the knee. Thompson putting it all together so well, and every shot that lands is going to help the Aussie grow in confidence.
What a night it has been so far, and no signs of it slowing down here.
And he gets a count, Ponson.
Massive result for Michael Thompson. Outside thigh kick, triples it up, then changes levels, changes discipline, goes with the hands and elbow.
And it's Michael Thompson rallying in this round. He can feel it, he can smell it. The victory is only perhaps moments away.
Oh, Thompson wears a big right hand from Ponson. A big right hand from the Thai. As fatigue is setting in, so too the pain for the Aussie.
Yeah, beautiful push kick from the Thai. He's finishing hard and strong, keeping the work rate up. He's got accustomed to those little gloves now, perhaps, Andy Raymond, and letting him fly.
Yeah, he's changed things up a little bit as Ponson still wears a couple of shots there from Thompson. Big punch. Big punch in the middle of a great exchange.
Down to the body goes again. Ponson pushes back Thompson, measuring the distance. Short left, into the elbows.
What a minute, what a round, what a fight this has been. Our main event capping off an absolute cracker here on the Gold Coast.
Oh, short elbow from Thompson as well.
Short elbow was the counter to the big flying knee from the Thai.
Just caught the leg, upended the Aussie. Straight back with the pressure. Brad McCarley keeps things civil.
And we go to the judges' scorecards. They have come back with a unanimous decision. For Australia and the blue corner, Michael Tomahawk Thompson!
Our main event of beauty.
Michael Thompson, the Tomahawk, very impressive there, one of the young guns making his presence felt.
Well, certainly Michael Tomahawk Thompson, one of the young guns, but Steve Moxon, also one of the young guns, and he's had something to say as well about John Wayne Parr.
I don't think it'll happen because I don't think he'll, I don't want to fight him at his weight. It's just he comes in too heavy, too big, and I'm past him anyway. I can move on to the next, I'm the new blood, and I don't have to beat him to prove myself. I can just move on to the world stage.
Confidence not an issue for Steve Moxon. Your response, John Wayne Parr?
That's fair enough. He's doing great things overseas. He's got so much glory. He's got big opportunities ahead of him. I'm more of a Muay Thai fighter. He likes to prefer the kickboxing / K1. I'm happy to fight him at K1 rules, but I don't know. Hopefully, if I can draw enough attention from the general public and I can sell out a venue, then definitely I'd consider putting it on. But if
it's about bums on seats, isn't it? Definitely.
And I want to get world recognition too. I want to fight the guys with the big names. I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight guys in Australia anymore. I've done my Australian thing. But if we can generate enough interest, then definitely. And then I also have the cage. But the only thing with the cage is it's full Muay Thai. I don't do any mods. So if you wanted to step up and fight with the elbows and fight with the grappling, then I'm sure I could accommodate.
Not the only one that has called out John Wayne Parr. Here's this from trash-talking American Kit Cope.
Well, folks, with someone who has had the forums ablaze in the past, Kit Cope, of course, has challenged John Wayne Parr in the past. They used to be former stablemates at Master Toddy's, but I suppose grew to dislike each other to some way.
Yeah, quite quickly, actually.
Obviously, Wayne is having his retirement fight shortly, so any last words for Wayne for his, I suppose, drawing to close on his career?
Dodged a bullet, my friend. You dodged a bullet. You know that last fight was supposed to be mine and yours. Again, for the third time, you went ahead and backed out. Dodged a bullet.
Dodged a bullet. I don't think Superman needs to. Your thoughts there, John Wayne?
The guy is a compulsive liar. We organised this fight a couple of years ago, and then I had a promoter that was willing to put it on here in Australia. Soon it was time to get things organised. He stopped answering his calls, stopped answering emails. And then now that I think about it, I don't even want to give him the pleasure of giving him a free trip to Australia. It's a nothing fight. The only time that we did train together, we sparred, and I blew him, I smashed him. I destroyed his world, and then he never come back to the gym again. He trained at the opposite gym on the other side of town the whole time I was in town, so he couldn't even face me in the gym sparring, let alone come fight time, so he's kidding himself. So
it seems Kit Cope might not be part of the John Wayne Parr story, a story that still has a few chapters left to go. But the John Wayne Parr story has been documented, an amazing insight. It is called Blessed with Venom.
I used to watch the Monkey Magic and stuff when I was 3 or 4 years old, and it always inspired me to get into the martial arts, whether it be taekwondo, karate, kung fu, ninjutsu, anything to do with training and fighting. That was my whole dream. The very first gym that I came to as a 19-year-old with the hopes and dreams of one day of becoming a Muay Thai champion.
You're not going holiday, you're going to the hell.
10 of us used to sleep side by side on the wooden floor. The bathroom, the old school, where you splash on, then you lather up with soap, and you splash off again, and then it's a sit-down toilet with no toilet paper. I shared a double bed with Richard's brother named Tung. Every night he used to snore like it was a freight train, and everything would vibrate in the room, and I'd always get a leg or an arm thrown on me either side. This is my adopted mum.
Mom and my boy ตั้งชื่อ John Wayne.
Blessed with Venom, the John Wayne Parr story. What is next in the story? What's coming up?
The 6th of July, I've moved venues. I was at the Gold Coast Sharks, but now I'm moving to the Logan at the Metro. It's a much bigger venue. It holds 2,500 people. We're doing the cage again. I've got a very credible opponent all the way from Holland in Marco PK. He's a multiple world champion. He's well renowned in Europe. And not only is he credible, but it's going to help my brand with the cage going to the European circuit. So.
How do you think Marco is going to go with these gloves? Because obviously he's not an MMA fighter. He's credible in that he's fought on the Challenger Series and so forth. But coming off a little bit of a dark side with his career at the moment, so he's looking to redeem himself as well against you. So you're a big scalp if you can do it.
Yes, his manager's very excited about the prospect of fighting in the little gloves, the whole cage aspect, and fighting me too. He's been wanting to fight me for a long time. It's one of those ones that's always sort of going to happen, but it never quite eventuated. So this is the time where we get to throw down, and he's motivated to train. He wants to redeem himself, and what better opportunity than doing 4 ounces.
The bell is sounded. We're out of time. John Wayne Parr, we look forward to you joining us again here in the studio.
Once again, thank you for having me, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Hammer, always a pleasure seeing you, my friend. It's been another big week. We are here every week. Come and join us next Wednesday between the ropes on It's Hammer Time.